Hello, everyone. So, one of our partners wanted to go ahead and introduce our group who was not able to make it because of the time difference.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen from Blue Apron Company. My name is Yuan Geng. I'm here with my group members, Ms. Casapulla, Ms. Maxine, Mr. Ho, Mr. Garcia-Civita, and Mr. Deaver. We are here to talk about your company, Blue Apron, in its current situation. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for meeting with us. We will try our best to make the next 15 minutes useful and helpful. Blue Apron was founded in August 2012 as one of the first few companies that offer meal kit delivery service. It can be said that the Blue Apron co-founded and promoted the development of a brand new industry. We are very proud of you. However, my team members and I have noticed that Blue Apron is not doing so well recently. So we conducted a simple analysis of your company and conclude that the main pressures of your company comes from two aspects. For the industry inside, your company's main pressure comes from your competitors. In just a few years, the number of companies providing meal kit delivery service in the US has risen to over 200, which is a crazy number. And according to the Epicurious, which is an American digital brand and which focus on food and cooking related topics, on the list of 24 best meal kit delivery company, Blue Apron only ranked at number 5. The huge internal industry competition has caused your company's customers to lose. And for the industry as a whole, I believe that the pandemic has brought a lot of impact to the meal kit delivery industry and even to the entire delivery industry. So based on the above analysis, your company, Blue Apron, is indeed facing some problems. But please don't worry, our team here is to advise you.
Yeah, so thank you to Shuyan. Again, apologies that he can't be here today. The China time zone is way different from ours. But we're going to spend the rest of our presentation going ahead and diving into some of the aspects that he brought up. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Andres, who is going to just give us a quick refresher on the background of the company.
Thank you, Peyton. A little background. Currently, Blue Apron ranks 5th in home kit operations. This is according to CNET, who is using pricing, annual sales, consumer ranking, and stock price to rank the companies. As we know, the company was valued at $2 billion after the initial public offering, but has dropped to $58 million. We've had to lay off 240 employees and close distribution centers in Texas and California. We first must ask ourselves whether the subscription model fits our industry and our company. There are a couple pros and cons to this subscription model. Pros, we have predictable income, consistent interaction with our consumers, and we can drive long-term value. However, a subscription model contracts nerves. Customers are uncomfortable with the length of our contracts. As a result, we have a risk of high churn. And finally, we have price in comparison to our competitors. We've identified that our competitors are ranking higher in customer satisfaction and cheaper in price. That being said, I pass it on to Peyton to give you an analysis of Blue Apron and the current state of the industry.
Perfect. So we wanted to begin with a quick analysis of Blue Apron's general environment, which actually involves the entire meal kit industry as a whole. So while most of the segments are important to Blue Apron, we found that the global segment and the sociocultural segment were the most important. So on a global level, all of us have been experiencing it. COVID has caused more people to eat in and consequently cook more. In fact, one survey, which we see in the graph on the right, found that 43% of people are cooking more at home. Now, this has actually influenced the sociocultural segment, as people have been saying that they hope to continue this newfound habit once the pandemic begins to level out. In fact, one survey found that 7 in 10 consumers want to continue cooking at home. So next, we decided to conduct a Porter's 5 force analysis, and 2 forces in particular stood out to us. So in this meal kit industry, there are a lot of substitutes. You have the option to eat out, the option to buy your own groceries for cooking, and the option to quote unquote eat out, but from the comfort of your home with delivery services like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and the like. For those people who don't want to grocery shop, which is what Blue Apron likes to provide. And then there's also the threat of rivalry and intensity, partly because of the pandemic as well, as Shuyan said. The industry has become oversaturated and competition is ramping up to provide the best meal kit. In fact, one article found that there are now 150 meal kit services and counting. So as we can see here, just a nice little picture summary of the rivalry intensity and the substitutes for Blue Apron. Now that's a lot of competition to contend with. So that brings me to the analysis of the internal aspects of the company. So we began by looking at Blue Apron's value chain, and we found 4 aspects to be important: inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, which all involve the supply chain, and finally, marketing and sales. So inbound logistics, we would say, are actually a strength of Blue Apron. They're having to contend with a very complex supply chain sourcing from over 100 farmers, and they're able to do it fairly effectively and efficiently. And the same can be said about their operations. They're taking bulk ingredients from farms and quickly and effectively packaging them in consumer-friendly sizes for their subscription. Now, we will get to at one point, this does provide some issues, but for now, it is a strength. Now, we can't forget outbound logistics, as the whole point of this service is to get, as I said, the meal kit from Blue Apron to the consumer as quickly as possible in order to provide high serviceability and freshness. And then finally, with the amount of competition there is, marketing and sales is key to Blue Apron. Now, there are 150 meal kit services, and being that this is a subscription service, the goal is to acquire customers and retain them, meaning marketing is something that Blue Apron is having to pay attention to. Now, finally, we decided to look at an RBV valuable resource. Our question was, does Blue Apron have one? Now, just as a quick refresher, an RBV valuable resource is one that provides a company with competitive advantage that is sustainable and lasts for the long term. Usually they are valuable, rare, difficult to substitute, and difficult to imitate. So we thought that ingredients, the opportunity to not have to shop at a grocery store, or original recipes might fit into the category of an RBV valuable resource. However, after doing a little bit of competitive benchmarking, we found that that's not the case, unfortunately. Most meal kit services are able to imitate what Blue Apron has done, despite the fact that they were one of the first ones to do it. And not only this, but there are substitutes, as I mentioned earlier, that are able to bring these new ingredients, bring these recipes, and make it so that consumers don't have to shop. So our analysis found that there are a lot of issues facing the company. So I'm going to hand it off to Asher, who is going to look into those issues and explain it more to you.
All right, thanks. First, we're going to start off with supply chain issues. One of the big problems that they're having is delivery fees. They can range from $8 to $10, and even though these can be waived at that introductory period, they do come back, and this can scare off customers, especially if this becomes a regular part of their life, like Blue Apron wants it to be. Those $8 to $10, however often they choose to reorder, adds up quickly. And due to the nature of shipping cold food, this sadly isn't going to be going away because the companies simply can't eat that cost and not pass it on to the consumer. They also have a problem with the unit cost. It's a scale issue. For them to be profitable, they have to have a certain number of customers to drop their unit costs as low as possible, and they just have not been able to meet that number as of yet. Next, we're going to look at their issue as being a valuable resource. They have an issue with customer retention, which is keeping their customers using the services. They attempt to grab onto their customers through mass marketing, sponsorships of podcasts, TV ads, all at a great cost to the company. While these techniques may work, they're expensive and make up 20 to 25% of their annual revenue. This is their main way of trying to fight the threat of competition by trying to out-advertise their competitors. Even with this, the customers quickly cancel their subscription. Research shows that over 78% cancel within the first 6 months. They also face an issue of substitution, the substitution of their customer deciding that they're interested in cooking and going out and buying a cookbook themselves instead of relying on Blue Apron for the recipes. And since Blue Apron's bleeding customers, it has caused their stock value to plummet, dropping it to insanely low numbers, making the company do 15-to-1 reverse split to get their price up above $1. So much so that their shareholders have sued the company for not upholding their end as a business, that end being the business being profitable. This lawsuit ended up costing Blue Apron $13.25 million. And Blue Apron simply just isn't unique. They offer a service that's near indistinguishable from their competitors. They're selling you food and ingredients that you can go to the store and buy. They give you recipes that you can look up online at no cost from other sources. Grocery store delivery is more and more common than ever due to COVID forcing stores to offer that service, and at less of a cost than Blue Apron could ever hope to offer you. One Reddit user says that he thinks of Blue Apron as more of a cooking lesson and just save the recipe cards for later. It's showing that these subscription-based services may not be the way to solve their issue. And they have tried to fix it. They've made many attempts. One was offering Beyond Meat to their consumers. They did a partnership with Weight Watchers. They did a deal with Costco where they offered their meal kits without the proteins at a low cost. They had a celebrity endorsement from Chrissy Teigen. They tried to introduce a multi-course option whenever they realized that their customers were using this for dinner parties, and they offered appetizers and desserts to go along with it. They had a partnership with Walmart's Jet.com to offer their meal kits. While these fixes had some short-term payoffs, there was no long-term reward for Blue Apron that ended up keeping their stock afloat. So with all of that in mind, let's move on to our recommendations.
As mentioned, Apron clearly fits as a company, and our recommendation for Blue Apron is to partner with restaurants in order to give customers the option to create their favorite restaurant quality meals at home. Customers will be able to choose from a selection of menu items in restaurants, and a meal kit will be delivered to them at home. The kit will contain all of the ingredients needed to make the meal, as well as step-by-step cooking instructions, which can be customized by the restaurants to include video tutorials and other features. This idea will allow Blue Apron to maintain their brand identity as a meal kit service provider while also taking on a new role as a brokerage between restaurants and consumers. And next, I'll talk about how it works. Blue Apron can easily transition to this new format by utilizing their current delivery system, which allows them to deliver fresh food to the homes of their customers. The existing distribution channels are one of the company's strengths, and partnerships with restaurants will give Blue Apron the opportunity to provide their customers with a more diverse and sophisticated offering of meal options. Additionally, this strategy will help increase the company's customer base by catering to a broader market of people that are interested in cooking their favorite meals at home. And next, I'll talk about the marketing strategy. We believe this strategy will be most effective if it is marketed to well-known chain restaurants. These restaurants have a well-established reputation among consumers, and consumers are likely to have favorite dishes at these restaurants. Consumers will want to recreate the dishes they already love and will enjoy the lower price point and the experience of learning how to make these meals.
So why would restaurants want to partner with Blue Apron? How do restaurants benefit from this? Restaurants will be able to reach consumers without having to give up any of their current consumers who enjoy the experience of dining in. Restaurants will be able to reach consumers who are at home, whether the customer is maybe not near a chain or they choose that they don't want to dine out due to just not simply liking the dining out experience or due to COVID. So Blue Apron will simply become the brokerage between restaurants and consumers. This also does create a source of profit for restaurants for whenever there is excessive stock that they might need to get rid of. And most importantly, how does Blue Apron benefit from going down this route? This partnership will increase the customer base by allowing Blue Apron to increase their market outreach. One of the biggest ways that the company Grubhub became so popular was because restaurants began promoting themselves through the Grubhub app, and they started featuring Grubhub in the corner of their doorways or in the corner of their menus. So it would be something similar to that. Also, retention will increase because there will be so many different meals and so much more room for consumers to advance in cooking and to challenge themselves, keeping them coming back for more. Restaurants have a mass amount of inventory already at hand. So by tapping into the restaurant supply chain, Blue Apron will be able to cut down on inventory costs by just sourcing ingredients straight from the restaurants. This is going to allow Blue Apron to refocus their supply chain efforts towards packaging and delivery purposes. And lastly, in terms of competitive advantages, there is no other company that is currently partnering with restaurants that also allow you to cook the restaurant's food at home. Takeout and delivery companies such as Grubhub do not give consumers the same kind of challenge or learning process that Blue Apron would provide for them. But other meal kit delivery services such as HelloFresh do not provide consumers with the diverse recipes from higher end restaurants or the chef certified recipes that you would get from partnering with these restaurants.
So perfect. So this is a link to all the web link sources we use, and we're excited for the Q&A that will be following up on this presentation next week. Thank you so much.